Welcome to Wisdom Inspired, a podcast designed to help high achievers to eliminate burnout and overwhelm. Now let's prepare to open our hearts, our minds, and our notebooks to receive today's wisdom. We're in a series where we're breaking down each letter in entrepreneur, right? And so we're discussing the various characteristics and principles to apply as an entrepreneur. What does the Bible say about entrepreneurship? And are there examples in the scriptures that we can follow? And so far in the series, we've determined that the E for entrepreneur and the E principles. We are to pursue excellence, become exemplary by glorifying God in our efforts, and provide extraordinary leadership. The N we covered was for the 3 N essentials. And those 3 N essentials are network, net worth, and nurture. And then last time we were together, we talked about the 3 T's of a preneur: traits, tenacity, and timing. And so today's topic is the 3 R's. It's the 3 R&R. Got confused by my own title. 3 R&R's of the preneur. The 3 R&R of the preneur. Okay? All right. So the first one we've talked about before. We've talked about risk takers. But it is always worth mentioning. And when we talked about risk taking or risk takers in the previous episode, we talked about it as being a personality trait. Right? But again, it's worth mentioning over and over because it is a part of the entrepreneurial experience, and not allowing uncertainty and potential failure to keep us from doing what needs to be done. We learn from taking risks, right? And we know that not all risks pay off, but as an optimistic risk taker, we should always look at failure as an opportunity to learn and see challenges as opportunities, not problems, right? I saw this quote by Frederick Wilcox, and it said, "Progress always involves risks. You can't steal second base and keep your foot on first." I thought that was really appropriate. And so that was the first R&R of the preneur. The second R of the preneur is resilience, right? There is a must. This is a must for entrepreneurs. Resilience. Resilience translates to following up when you've been rejected, right? Fears and failures and frustrations are all a part of the entrepreneurial journey. And I'm not trying to discourage you. This is just real talk, right? Resilience is the capacity to bounce back, and you've got to have that bouncing back thing happening, right? You got to be able to shake it off sometimes, to get back on the saddle and try again. I was reading about the fact that James Dyson of Dyson Vacuums, he spent 5 years working on a prototype for this bagless vacuum, right? He built over 5,000 prototypes before the bagless vacuum business. That's a lot of B's. The bagless vacuum business became a household name and one of the largest bagless vacuum companies across the globe. Why? Because he had resilience to keep going, to keep at it, to keep bouncing back, to keep trying it again, right? And so showing resilience doesn't mean that the person is unaffected or uncaring, right? But it's just the human heart's ability to suffer greatly, right? And that doesn't mean that I'm sure that Mr. Dyson did have some. It did impact his maybe his self-esteem, perhaps, but and perhaps it was challenging in terms of him feeling a little bit inadequate sometimes, right? Because we have those feelings as well. But resilience is the human heart's ability to suffer greatly and then grow from it. And there are examples that we see even from a national perspective of resilience. like after September 11th, right, back in 2001. We observe personal resilience in those with disabilities, the death of a loved one, other losses, financial losses, losses from natural disasters like Hurricane Katrina. We can see resilience, right? It's when people refuse to give up after a misfortune. They are resilient. And then the last R of the Preneur is receptive. Receptive to constructive criticism. As an entrepreneur, we have all been open, right? We have to be open, rather, to receptive feedback and criticisms in our businesses. It's not always easy, right? It's not always easy because we as entrepreneurs pour so much of ourselves into what we do and the services we provide. But being receptive to feedback and constructive criticism helps us to look outside of ourselves where we can gain new insight. Because sometimes we have tunnel vision. So it's a good idea to surround ourselves with people who we can trust with our ideas, people who can objectively look from the outside and provide constructive feedback and criticism. And honestly, this has been an area that I've struggled with. But as I was preparing for today's talk, this scripture really helped me. And the scripture is in Proverbs 15:31 through 33. And I had to actually look at several versions of this because I was just it's so ministered to me, right? And so the King James Version says, "The ear that heareth the reproof of life abideth among the wise. He that refuseth instruction despise his own soul, but he that heareth reproof getteth understanding. The fear of the Lord is the instruction of wisdom, and before honor is humility." Another version, "If you listen to constructive criticism, you will be at home among the wise. If you reject discipline, you will only harm yourself. But if you listen to correction, you grow in understanding." And then the ESV version says, "The ear that listens to life-giving reproof will dwell among the wise. Whoever ignores instruction despises himself, but he who listens to reproof gains intelligence." And then the NIV version says, "Whoever heeds life-giving correction will be at home among the wise. Those who disregard discipline despise themselves, but the one who heeds correction gains understanding. Wisdom's instruction is to fear the Lord, and humility comes before honor." So the Bible is clear in its instruction, not only on how we speak to others in terms of providing constructive criticism, but how we accept criticism. And as entrepreneurs and leaders, being receptive to constructive criticism is about attitude. We can treat constructive criticism as fuel, as life-giving correction and empowerment, and something that helps us to become better people and wiser at the same time. So I hope today's wisdom has inspired you. I hope it encourages you to be receptive and embrace constructive criticism, to be resilient and to be risk takers. It is always our goal that you are encouraged. That is our prayer. So with that said, meet us back on the line next time. Same time, same place, same station, with more wisdom inspired. Have an amazingly productive day.
I hope you enjoyed the episode of Wisdom Inspired that was brought to you by the AAC Co-working Community, a virtual community designed to support female entrepreneurs, business owners, and freelance professionals. For more, go to wisdominspired.net.